Hello, YouTubers, and welcome back to the Ohio Patriot Education Network YouTube channel and to the 24th anniversary for 9/11 stream, as well as uh, updates to the Charlie Kirk assassination that occurred yesterday. So basically, obviously, we got a bunch of stuff that's come out of that in the past 24 hours now since it happened, and yeah, it's no good, man. I think unfortunately we're going to see a lot of political violence happen out of this, and I think a lot of these disgusting leftists that have mocked Charlie Kirk's death, that have openly laughed at his death, are just the most demonic pieces of shit on earth right now. Basically, what it is. I said yesterday that we're fighting a war against demons, and I believe that to be the case right now. And I also would not be surprised in the least, given the last 24 hours of what I've personally looked into and what I personally have seen, and the fact that apparently the person that made the shot was doing so from about 200 yards away on top of a different roof is what it is. And there's obviously video of people that are filming after the fact where you see some person running is what it is there. Of course, the feds are claiming they have a suspect. Photos of the person anyway that's on the loose obviously right now is what it is. And I don't know, the whole thing just stinks to high heaven of some kind of government psyop is what it is. Whether it be our government, whether it be a different government, whether it be a quick reaction force situation where this was actually anywhere from like 3 to 5 people involved in it, like that show Linus, and I would not be surprised in the least, honestly. And that's the thing, deal. I know Hollywood specifically, they will, do stuff and portray things and whatnot. And a lot of the reason that they do these kind of things and these TV shows and stuff like that is to basically show the American people, like, hey, this is what your government's actually doing, is what it is. And so would I be surprised if there was actually a QRF in the United States right now, or actually multiple of them for that matter, which would basically be mercenary groups at that point that are just ready to be called up and do things, is what it is. No, I would not be at this point, honestly. And the fact that, so there's 2 things that I find very glaring about this whole thing before getting to 9/11, obviously, which obviously that does coincide with today and stuff like that, is the fact that Charlie's assassination happened on the eve of 9/11, to me is very suspicious. And it basically leads a lot of credence to, what we know about 9/11, obviously, which is that it wasn't an inside job, obviously. It was, various Islamic is what it is there that were behind the shit. And, when you look into people like the Rothschilds and stuff like that, they were the ones that were funding a lot of the war stuff after the fact because they wanted to put central banks in all these different Middle Eastern countries, which is what they did after the fact. We were in this River Wars war for 20-something years, as it is now. So basically, yeah, it's a lot of blatant fuckery going on across the board right now is what it is. The thing is, and I'm thinking to myself, like, okay, like, who benefits the most from this is what it is. Who benefits the most from Charlie Kirk's assassination? Who benefits the most from killing Christianity, basically? And there's 2 responses to that, obviously, because it's what, let's be honest with ourselves. This very much was a Christian hate crime is what it is, dude, and it should be treated as such. I believe it was Islam would be one of the biggest ones, and I believe that there is a very real possibility of it being government, not our government either, too, for that matter. It might be, it could be a deep state part of our government, who knows? It could be Israeli government, could be Chinese government, it could be Russian government, it could be anybody that's gotten onto U.S. soil in the past, 4 or 5 years now under dipshit Biden and company. So, yeah, it could be any of these Islamic terrorists that have crossed our border with all kinds of fast and furious Obama weapons and stuff like that that were part of the whole thing. Or it could just be some trans nut jobs, It could be anybody in between, honestly, at that point. And the reason that's trans nut job thing is what it is because that's basically the quote-unquote official story they're going with right now is what it is, where they've claimed to have found the rifle that they're claiming was a Mauser with no scope on it in 30-06. And that alone is like, yeah, that's definitely a planted weapon right there. That was not the gun that was used in that situation, dude, because first of all, I don't know how many people out there have done like long distance shooting at all, dude, you are not making a 200-yard shot with fucking iron sights to that particular target is what it is. Like, you're not going to hit, like, right in the neck area of a particular target like that with just irons at 200 yards. Like, unless you have, like, basically, unless you're, like, Simo Haya, you know, the guy that was the White Death Finnish sniper is what it is there. Like, unless you have that dude's skill set, which most people don't, obviously. In fact, almost nobody does at this point, honestly. Like, unless you would have that dude's, like, decades of skill set, basically, for, like, you know, experience, marksmanship, and stuff like that. Like, you're not making that shot without some kind of scope on the gun is what it is. So, and then, of course, right next to that, suppose it was, like, ammunition that had, like, trans messaging on is what they said, but I haven't actually seen the actual thing is what it is. Just thought I find very suspicious is what it is. There's other people that were saying, though, the person that was, because apparently I guess when Charlie's death actually happened, there's what it is on stage, you had somebody asking him a question in the state and like the podium or whatever, and it was something about like transgenderism and gun ownership in this country is what it was. And it was right when Charlie, like, people might start answering that is when he got shot. That's what it is. So, like, there could be some credence to that, but who knows? Like, I would definitely like to see that person that was asking the question, though, detained and interrogated pretty much, because it definitely feels like that was for sure, like, involvement is what it is there. And that goes back to the whole, like, QRF thing is what it is, which, you know, like, from where I'm sitting right now, you know, if I, like, let's say I was government, you know, let's say I was in a government position right now, like, I don't know, like head of like DOJ or ATF or something like that, or even like other countries, you know, security forces, MI5, MI6, whatever it is there, you know, and I wanted to start potentially a civil war in the United States. Let's say it like that, you know, let's go ahead and say that I'm a, you know, high level government agent from another country, and I want to start a civil war in the United States with the end game being a color revolution. Because that's what this feels like it's starting basically right now. It feels like we are starting a color revolution right now is what it is in this country. Who benefits the most from that? Bilderberg, the other globalists that make up Davos and work on my forum, and other people that are within governments outside of the United States, specifically Israel, specifically Russia, specifically China. So, would I be surprised if any of those countries were involved in this shit? Would I be surprised if any of these countries, or all these countries together, were involved in this shit? No, I would not be surprised at all if that came out to be the case. Because again, especially if your end game is to try to put, you know, UN boots on the ground to quell, like, you know, future rioting or future, like, civil war conflicts and stuff like that, what better way to do it than start something like this? What better way to do it than have Charlie Kirk, a known Christian, a known, you know, right-wing political figure at that point, be assassinated and used as a martyr for this whole thing? And that's the sad fact of the matter. Is what we're seeing right now is what it is. So, and unfortunately, a lot of very pissed off people on the right now are already starting to fall for it, because you've already had, it was at some university in Idaho last night, there was people holding a vigil for Charlie Kirk, some fucking piece of shit, leftist, agent provocateur, antagonist, whatever the fuck you call it at that point, came rolling through on a scooter and basically was chanting "fuck Charlie Kirk." And then about I think it was 2 or 3 people grabbed him off the scooter, and then about 10 people just kicked the shit out of him, what it was then. So, and I would not be surprised if we see more things like that happening in the near future is what it is here. So, yeah, like I said, with this whole Civil War timeline that I was thinking of that potentially would be kicking off by 2030, I could easily see it kick off before the end of this year is what it is now, and I really don't want to see that happen is what it is. And I'm just going to be clear about that one. Like, I've never really wanted to see, like, I'm guilty of stuff. I'm guilty of, you know, amping up some shit is what it is here and there, but honestly, like, at the end of the day, I really don't want to see this country fall is what it is. And I feel like if we did preventive measures right now and did things the correct way, you could actually prevent everything right now from happening, and we could actually have this country particularly healed right now is what it is. Unfortunately, the people that are pulling the levers of power do not want to do that. They just want to continue to amp up the violence, amp up the rhetoric, amp up everything else like that, And it does kind of go back to, again, who benefits the most from this thing, because what did we see immediately from a bunch of leftists out there, like your AOCs, like your Elizabeth Warrens? I believe Jay Poll said something yesterday, but it was the original post that I had seen from it was deleted later on, so I don't know if that was something or a parody account of that was her name or something like that, or what it was. But and then of course you have that idiot Mombani or whoever the guy's name is in New York City. That's some fucking commie piece of shit who got legal status into this country when he should have never even been granted citizenship in this country. He should be kicked the fuck out right now. Is what it is. You got him, you got Warren, you got AOC, and you got at least one or two others too that are openly calling for gun control right now. Is what it is. Literally the day before Charlie Kirk's assassination, you had that fucking scumbag piece of shit cunt Chris Murphy openly call for political violence against the right at that point, and then literally like an hour or two after Charlie's death happened, after his murder happened, there it was, you had that piece of shit Chris Murphy come out on like MSNBC or CNN or whatever it was there, one of the mainstream media networks, and be like, oh, we just need to stop all the political violence, y'all. Fuck you, dude. You are 100% responsible for this shit. And every single one of you cocksuckers I just mentioned by name need to be removed from office right now. Need to be kicked the fuck out of office. Need to be arrested for deprivation of cover laws, what it is. And on top of that, you got pieces of shit like that Sauron douchebag who needs to be kicked the fuck out of this country entirely, is what it is then. And this is what I've said many, many times before. We need to have automatic qualifications on holding office and on running for office. And if you're running on platforms of gun control, which is what that fucking scumbag in New York City is running on, booted out the fucking race. If you're already holding office and you're pushing for gun control, booted out of the fucking office at that point and arrested for deprivation of cover laws, what it is. Because this is how we fix our country right now. We kick out a bunch of oath breakers. We get rid of entire congressional seats, entire Senate seats, etc. And we have a much better nation after the fact. What it is, you shrink government, particularly in the right places that need to be shrunk down to, and you actively have a better nation when it's all said and done. So, but yeah. And the fact that, you know, like I said, going back 24 years now, it was 23 years and 364 days ago on 9/12/2001 that you had this country the most united it's ever been, where you had American flags everywhere. And in less than 2.5 decades, you now have Islamic terrorist flags being waved everywhere for Palestine and every fucking other Middle Eastern countries, what it is there. You have all these Central American countries from Mexico to Honduras, El Salvador, Guatemala, Nicaragua, have all their countries' flags being fucking waved around by a bunch of douchebags. You have all these same fucking douchebags burning the American flag. And yeah, we are the most divided we've ever been right now in the past 24 years. And I believe, truthfully, when you look back into it, it all has to do with Obama, dude. And Obama was 100% a globalist fuckboy, is what it is. And you had him basically leading the charge of exactly why our country is so racially divided and politically divided right now, is what it is. Because when you give terrorist organizations like Black Lives Matter a hate platform to spew their bullshit and like basically push local rhetoric and you keep pushing the white supremacy crap as it is all the time, like at some point you're just going to get pushed back, is what it is then. And let's see what we got here. Going next thing, Trump's generally willing to vote terrorist. You should. I've already called Bernie Moreno, U.S. Senator, to do that stuff right now. I called him Moreno about 2 hours ago to say. I said that right then. I said to Moreno because he was talking about being in such like a daze from Charlie Kirk's death, is what it is. And I'm like, dude, if you want to fix this, it's a simple solution. Antifa, BLM, Moms Demand Action, Everytown, Giffords, Students Demand Action, etc. Declare them all terrorist organizations in this country, because I don't care if it is the actual violent terrorism of Antifa and BLM, or if it is the gun control fuckboys of Michael Bloomberg and Gabby Giffords. They all need to be declared domestic terrorist organizations at this point, because the blood from Charlie Kirk's death, the blood from everybody's death in gun-free zones is on their fucking hands, because they're the assholes that will sit there and after every single one of these events, every single one of these tragic preventable events at this point that happen in gun-free zones, they will sit there and push for more gun control. They will sit there and go to state houses. You will have Bloomberg literally fucking fund buses to bring these stupid fucking cunts down to the state house of any state, because they do this shit in Ohio all the fucking time, is what it is. Whenever they're pushing anti-gun crap, or whenever we have a pro-gun bill on the docket, you will have Bloomberg literally fund charter buses full of about 2 to 3 dozen Moms Demand Action stupid fucking cunts, and have them all drive down to Columbus at once in that big ass bus, and they'll get off the fucking bus at like 9, 10 a.m., whatever it is there, go into the state house, and then bitch and moan for the next 4 hours about like, this is why we need gun control. And they do that every fucking time, and they do it at every single fucking state is what it is there. And the problem really in general is if Trump really wanted to do something, he could do something very easily. And he just declares Michael Bloomberg a domestic terrorist in this country and freezes and seizes all his fucking assets, because as soon as you wipe that motherfucker out, being a billionaire, which by the way, Bloomberg should already be in jail right now multiple times over because of the fact that you have him doing short selling of stock, which I'm pretty sure is illegal in this country, or at least the way he did it is anyway. But yet he's able to get away with it somehow. And yeah, it's like all kinds of criminal shit like that. What it is, this motherfucker's been behind, dude. And he is one of the biggest piece of shit pedophiles on earth right now, is what it is too, for that matter. So yeah, I am beyond pissed right now, is what it is. And it really is just time for Bloomberg to be bankrupt, is what it is right now, dude. Because if it wasn't for his billions of dollars, you wouldn't have a whole bunch of anti-gunners in state houses like my state house right now is what it is. You wouldn't have them in the Indiana State House, New York State House, the Colorado State House, California State House, etc. Because he's the one funding all these different campaigns for these people to get into power is what it is. And that's one thing I thought was interesting when Muffin Top was bringing up last night during his chat about people running for school boards and stuff like that, because that is very much the truth right now. You need to have people run for school board because it is Bloomberg and company that are using their orgs like that are funding these people to start out in school boards is what it is there, and push these fucking anti-gun agendas at the school board level is what it is then, and then school districts and stuff like that. And then it just expands out from there. They basically start them in a school board or some kind of school race, whatever it is there, like state, like township trustee, something like that is what it is there. And then they'll go from that to usually state rep or state senator, and then eventually to Congress is what it is. And it's like this building block, essentially, what it is there, of anti-gun bullshit. And I, for one, I'm sick and tired of it, dude. I am sick and tired of watching people that should never be in office to begin with, who should have been kicked out of office just based on the platforms they were running upon is what it is, and be kicked out of those races to begin with, not even be able to hold office ever is what it is then. Sitting there and thinking they can dictate our rights and our ability to defend ourselves from tyrannical government is what it is there. Because at the end of the day, that's what also is leading up to right now. It's leading up to more government overreach, more tyranny, more tyrannical bullshit across the board right now. And it's just fucked up, dude. So, yeah, and the thing is, like, I wouldn't be surprised by that either. And the fact of the matter is, though, with Nick Fuentes, like, I was watching something of his the other day for a few minutes, and I think he was talking about the black community is what it was, or something like that. And he was basically, he had gone off on this other rant is what it was then. And he was saying about how, like, he himself was basically like, because obviously everyone wants to demonize that kid as if he's Hitler and stuff like that, where he's not fucking Hitler, dude. He's like the prelude to an actual Hitler is what it is then. Like, if you want actual Hitler, like, look behind who Nick Fuentes, like, look at Nick Fuentes and look behind Nick Fuentes into like a big ass crowd of guys and just point to one of them. That's probably the guy that's actually gonna be fucking Hitler is what it is then. So, but yeah, like, it's, I feel like that dude is more of a sort of puppeteer, if you will, where he's like holding the what do you call it, mandarin, whatever it is, thing that you basically control the puppet with is what it is. That's what I feel like Fuentes is, honestly, in some cases, where it would be the person's strings that are being pulled be like the actual Hitler, Stalin, Mao, whatever you want to call it at that point then. So, yeah, I don't, and I've said it before, honestly, when I got, you know, the thing about 6 years ago with the feds and stuff like that, when I was talking about the piece of shit Andrew Yang, I don't believe that we're ever going to know who the person is until they would actually rise into a position of power is what it is there. Because really, honestly, right now, you can even say that about that Zoran guy in New York City is what it is. Like, that dude could easily be like a Stalin or a Mao in the future for all we know, with the rhetoric he's pushing and like the communist bullshit he's pushing is what it is there. So, yeah, I don't know. Like I said, it's a fucked up time in history right now is what it is. And for me personally, I just feel like, given the fact that, you know, we are in the anniversary of 9/11 now, the fact it's happened on the eve of the anniversary of 9/11, like, it just smells like bad fish, basically. Like, it just stinks of like rotten something right now. Like, whatever their official narrative is just feels like it's bullshit at this point, and it's something completely different than what it actually is. And like I said, I would not be surprised if it was, especially given last night specifically, I saw a video of current U.S. Congressman Jimmy Raskin basically smirking and smiling when finding out that Charlie Kirk was dead. And would I put it past that asshole to have been like the deep state guy that basically had some mercenary group kill Charlie Kirk at that point? No, I would not be surprised by that at all if that came out to be for real what it is. So I definitely feel like this was done by someone, or multiple people for that matter, whether it be a deep state psyop, whether it be Israeli government doing it, whether it be Chinese government doing it, whether it be the Russian government doing it, whether it be some chunk of the UN coming together and doing something. Who knows? Like I said, I think really what we're seeing right now is it's whoever is actually controlling the levers of power for real, which is the globalists at this point. I believe they're the ones that are really behind this whole thing, is what it is. And I believe this was a way to essentially start a civil war in this country. And it's a way for them to start a civil war so they can then, use their UN shock troops, et cetera, there to basically squash our rights entirely, is what it is. And that is what I fear right now happening. And that is why I refuse to call for anything at this point. That is why I will never call for violence or anything like that, because of the fact that I know what this shit leads to. I know what that whole thing goes to. And that is why I'm on the complete opposite side of that right now. It's like, yes, now is the time for peace, honestly. Now is the time to find the people that were the actual gunmen, et cetera, or gunmen for that matter, and arrest them, get the confessions, make sure that they're the actual people who did that stuff, and then figure out like who paid them is what it is and stuff, or who, forced them to do it, whatever you want to call it there is what it is. Because just given, like I said, from what I personally know from firearms and stuff like that, there is absolutely no way they did this with what they claim to do it with. There's 100% a sniper. There's an actual scope sniper rifle out there someplace that was actually used to do this killing. And I would not be the least bit surprised if it was actually some government person for that matter, whether it be a military dude, whether it be a Secret Service guy, whether it be, anybody in between, basically. Like, it feels like it was a trained person, though, for sure. And, like, especially given the distance of the shot and potentially, like, having to, like, basically line up a perfect shot there so you can get that, like, whole, like, cradle area of the neck is what it is. So, and especially having a cold barrel, too, like, yeah, I could easily have seen that. Like, if you're, like, a less, trained person or whatever the case be, like, that could have easily been, like, way down and, like, hit him in, like, the leg or something like that, or it could have been even high, and it could have been like a Trump assassination kind of thing, or Trump assassination thing, that's what it is, where it's, dude moving and it hits his ear or something like that kind of situation. So, yeah, like, it just feels like it was definitely not who they're saying it was, basically. And I feel like there's a lot more to this story that we're never going to know is what it is until, again, like maybe like a FOIA request like 35 years from now or something like that, when it finally gets unredacted or something. So, yeah, I don't know if we're ever going to see the true culprits come to justice, is what it is there, but it's a sad situation all the way around. And like I said, it's pretty disgusting to see what some people are out there doing right now. Specifically, there was a video I'm going to show right now. This was probably about, I don't know, maybe 5 minutes after Charlie was shot there is what it is, which you had this piece of shit guy who is a mid-20s black male after Kirk was shot, literally jumping the barricade to steal some fucking hats off the table and then throw them to people. Like, what a fucking asshole, dude. I feel like that clip ended way too fast because it should have ended with those cops, security, wherever they were, like putting that dude on the ground and giving him a kick in the head or something like that is what it is then, for that shit. But yeah, it's like no class, no shame, no morals, nothing, dude. Like, just completely disgusting behavior is what it is there. And like I said, you got even worse disgusting behavior from these leftists out there now that are basically not only mocking Charlie's death, but they're also like openly calling for more violence and stuff like that. There's been a couple of ones that I've seen here in the last day or so, like that the video, or I should say the website that did the article yesterday, that Rift TV that I was checking out. They specifically were on Facebook last night, and you had some Facebook group that's like a known like leftist group or whatever that were not only calling for them to be taken out, they were also calling for Elijah Schaffer to be killed then too. Because that's the thing. That's the thing with these leftists, dude. They will not stop. They will not stop until they are stopped at that point. And whether it be they're arrested, whether it be they are institutionalized, whatever the case be, it doesn't matter, honestly. Like, they need to be taken care of as what it is now and dealt with accordingly. And whether that be that we need to label the Democrat Party a domestic terrorist organization for that matter, who knows, dude? Like, that would be what needs to happen at this point, honestly. So, and what I think is even more disgusting was you had, it was on the U.S. House floor yesterday. You had a moment of silence called for Charlie Kirk's death, to which Speaker Johnson was able to get that done. And then it was about maybe, 15, 20 seconds after that, you had Congresswoman Lauren Boebert basically call for a reading of a prayer is what it was. And you had piece of shit Jasmine Crockett and a bunch of other Democrats screech out and be like, no, we're not going to do that. And it's like, of course they don't want to do that because they're fucking demon possessed, dude. They're demonically evil. They are literally infested by a fucking demon. And why would they not want to have prayer out loud is what it is? Because it would hurt them as demons. And that's what I'm saying. Like, we are fighting literal demonic evil in this country, dude, in this world. We're fighting people who are actually possessed by demons from hell, legitimately. And why else would they kill Charlie Kirk, a guy who was a Christian, who was a servant of God, literally? It's because they're fucking demons. So, kind of like the demons that did 9/11 24 years ago. Which, again, going back to the, government fuckery is what it is there. Building 7 was a big deal, You had 2 planes, but you got 3 buildings went down that day. And Building 7 literally imploded in its own footprint is what it is. And you literally had a news reporter from, I think it was the BBC or something like that, like an hour before it went down, being like, oh, Building 7's gone down. And it was literally an hour later when it actually went down then. So, yeah, just all kinds of suspicious stuff is what it is there. And like I said yesterday, I remember where I was on 9/11. I was in a U.S. history class, and freshman history is what it was there. When you had some chick from, it was the Spanish class next door, come knocking on our door and be like, hey, turn on the TV real quick. And then as soon as our history teacher grabbed the remote and clicked it on, it was literally the second plane smashing into the second tower. Or I don't know if it was us seeing the plane hit the tower, or if it was like right after the plane hit the tower, I think maybe is what it was. And we just saw like the smoke billowing, and we were all like, oh my God, what the fuck? And then within like an hour or so of that, they ended up sending us home as what it was. Like they were trying, well, I think what it was is they had taken a lot of the classes and put them in the cafeteria after that, like the next class or 2 classes later, whatever it was. And then they were telling us like, hey, like, we're going to start sending you guys home if you can. Like, it was basically a situation where it's like, hey, if any of you seniors or whatever the case be have like, friends here that live close to you, like, just take them with you, please, and drop them off at their houses is what it is. And then everybody else that didn't have a vehicle, it was basically, hey, we're going to get the buses out for you guys and send you home early is what it is then. So, and of course, that's when I went home then. And not mistaken, I think my sister was sick that day because I want to say she was already home watching TV with my mom is what it was. And then I think my brother came through the door or something not long after that. My mom's like, thank God you guys are home. So, yeah, it's just crazy stuff either way. So I can tell if there's my neighbor guy back here screaming in his apartment or if he's outside bitching at somebody right now. So, the fucking guy's just a loudmouth piece of shit though in general. I'm pretty sure that was the asshole that was stealing my outside electric that day, which thank God he's not able to do it now because I got my stuff out there right now. Got a big old square of duct tape right now is what it is. So he tries to pull without just catching him in the ass is what it is then. But yeah, like I was saying, going back to 9/11 though, yeah, I was a freshman history class then, and then we ended up getting released like an hour or so, maybe of that was when we were being sent home then. And then I was sitting there with my family, mom, sister, brother, at the house, just watching like replays of what was happening, and yeah, just being completely in awe at the age of 16 of like, what the fuck, man? Like, why is this happening? Like, who attacked us? And just being visible. Like, and I remember even in the classroom, like about 5 or 10 minutes after that, like you had guys even talking then. They're like, let's go join the military and get these motherfuckers that did this shit to us. But yeah, we were all underage at the time, so we couldn't even do that. So, which I actually had that as a thought process in my mind at one point in time of like going into military service and trying to, get one back for America as what it is there. I'm so glad I didn't though, because I would have never survived though. Well, first of all, I don't think I would have made the cut for that matter just because of my health issues at the time. But yeah, like I'm so glad by the time I was 18 and able to potentially join up, I was not in that mindset anymore because I had seen so much death already occur at that point. By 2003 is what it was. So, and basically being fed these big lies of, weapons of mass destruction, all other shit. And in reality, the weapons of mass destruction were literally Saddam's gold bars that most of which were sent to Israel, of all things. So, but yeah, it's, like I said, it all kind of comes back full circle potentially to our supposed ally, potentially maybe being our real enemy is what it is right now. So, but anyway, like I said, I don't know who's actually behind this whole thing. It could be them. It could be fucking Raskin, deep state guys, etc. that had some QRF team or whatever on the ground there is what it is. So, but yeah, nothing would surprise me at this point. Nothing would surprise me if it was government doing the shit like they did with MLK back in the 60s. And obviously, Bobby Kennedy was another one that they murdered like that. Of course, they had Sirhan take the fall for that one. But in reality, you've had different gunshot experts and stuff like that even say that, hey, during Bobby Kennedy's assassination, there was at least 2 different guns being used then. And obviously, Sirhan only had the one gun, which the reason I bring that up, obviously, is because going back full circle to the gun control thing, that's exactly what led to the 1968 Gun Control Act being enacted, is what it was, where we didn't have imports coming from overseas anymore because you couldn't have these little small guns being brought into the country as what it is then after that, because that's what they claim that Sirhan used on Kennedy is what it is. So, which is absolute bullshit lies. It was just a way for our government to fuck us over again is what it is then. And yeah, there's just all kinds of just government fuckery been going on for decades now is what it is, dude. And like I said, would it surprise me if this was the latest kind of situation here? Would it surprise me if our government literally sacrificed Charlie Kirk just to push something is what it is then? No, it would not surprise me at all, dude. Would it surprise me the Democrat Party was 100% behind this? No, that would not surprise me at all if that be the case. Would it surprise me, like I said, if it was an outside force that was part of the UN at this point that was just trying to make America into their bitch at that point and basically cause us to have a civil war / color revolution so they could take over is what it is then? No, I would not surprise at all at that point. Would it really surprise me if it was actually globalists like George Soros, Jacob Rothschild, etc. being, actually, is Rothschild still alive? I think maybe somebody else is in the Rothschild. I think Jacob died recently. I think somebody else is in the Rothschild power sheet now is what it is, but either way, Rothschild family, Rockefeller family, Soros family, Royal family, etc. that make up Bilderberg. Would it surprise me if all these assholes were involved in this shit? No, it would not surprise me at all at that matter. So, yeah, I definitely do not think, like, whoever the feds claim was the person, that person is the fucking patsy. I'll just hit like that right now, dude. That person is a patsy who actually paid their asses at that point. So, but yeah, it's just, the whole thing just stinks. Real bad is what it is, and just feels like a complete cover-up to do something is what it is right now. So who knows what'll come of it, if anything will come of it. But at the same time that was going on, obviously, you had a shooting in a high school in Colorado yesterday, too, for that matter, which is another gun-free zone, by the way. And this is what we know from that one right now. So the student is dead after shooting 2 teens at a Colorado high school and then taking their own life. I could easily see this being a love triangle gone wrong kind of thing. That's what it is here. But anyway, so Denver, Colorado. So a student shot 2 of his peers Wednesday at a suburban Denver high school before shooting himself and later dying, authorities said. The handgun shooting was reported. Interesting that they say handgun shooting for the AP. Here's what it is. Handgun shooting was reported around 12:30 p.m. at Evergreen High School in Evergreen, Colorado, about 30 miles west of Denver. Said fatal shooting near Denver. This is where the high school is. This is where Denver is. That's where Colorado is considered. There's what it is. So shots were fired both inside and outside the building, and law enforcement officials who responded found the shooter. Within 5 minutes of arriving, Jefferson County Sheriff's Office spokesman Jackie Kelly said none of the cops who responded to the shooting fired any shots. Said more than 100 police, Jesus Christ, more than 100 police officers from the surrounding area rushed the school to try to help. Kelly said a 1999 school shooting at Jefferson County's Columbine High. Okay, so that was in the same county, it seems like. Which killed 14 people, including a woman who died earlier this year of complications from her injuries from the shooting. Really? I didn't realize that one. So Columbine's body count is now 14 from one of the women that had like bullets still in her, I guess is what it is. That's crazy, dude. Let's check that one out real quick. See, Columbine victim's death from health problems related to 1999 school shooting ruled a homicide. Wow. It's fucked up, man. So you survived like 26 years just to die from complications. Jeez. Although I did talk about that, I think it was last year, about when it came to Columbine and how you had one of the guys who had survived that. He ended up taking his own life after the fact, as it was just he had such bad PTSD from the event. So, yeah, just crazy, crazy shit, man, for sure. But anyway. Let's see. So the teens were originally listed in critical condition. St. Anthony Hospital CEO Kevin Cullen said their ages were not released. This was from the shooting yesterday, obviously. So by early evening, one of the teens was in stable condition, from what Dr. Brian Blackwood, hospital's trauma director, described as non-life-threatening injuries. He declined to provide more details. Said high school with more than 900 students is largely surrounded by forests. It is about a mile from the center of Evergreen, which is a population of 9,300 people. So after the shooting, parents gathered outside a nearby elementary school waiting to reunite with their children. Wendy Newman said her 15-year-old daughter, a sophomore at the high school, didn't answer her phone right away after the shooting. Denver Post reported when her daughter finally called back, it was from a borrowed phone. She just said she was okay, couldn't hardly speak. Newman said, holding back tears, gathered that her daughter had run from the school. Super crazy. We feel like we live in a little bubble here. Obviously, no one is immune, is what they said then. Well, again, going back to the whole thing, it's a gun-free zone, dude. What do you expect? Like, stop having schools be gun-free zones 24 years after 9/11, people. Jesus Christ. Like, every school should be a hard lock school at this point, dude. It should be literally armed staff everywhere is what it is. And any politician not doing that stuff needs to be removed from office at this point, honestly, for deprivation of law is what it is. For depriving these kids of their right to live is what it is. For depriving these kids of having the right to be in a safe environment that is armed, where you don't have some fucking nut walk in there. And again, it goes back to what I said just with SSRIs and stuff like that. It's time to literally ban SSRIs in this country and finally bring big pharmaceutical companies to justice right now is what it is, dude, for their fucking involvement in all this shit. So, anyway. I was supposed to be getting a bath mat in today from Amazon, but now they're keep telling me it's not for delivery yet, which is crazy because it should be out like 2-3 hours ago. So, half wondering if we're going to get that today or not. Probably be tomorrow is my guess. I probably won't hear about it until like 4 or 5 o'clock, or yeah, probably about 5 o'clock this afternoon then. So, anyway. But yeah, it's just. Sad situation all the way around. Speaking of psychotic leftists, going back to Charlie Kirk's death, here's what it is. You have all these pieces of shit literally celebrating the stuff. Being like, oh, please make sure it went down. This is what I've been talking about, dude. These are all the fucking piece of shit cunts that need to get forced institutionalized over this shit. Have some men in white coats with a straight jacket just come out there and fucking yank it around their asses and drag them off to a fucking panel van, is what it is. And then to a rubber room in the insane asylum someplace. Be done with it. So, we'd be so much better off as a country right now if we did that stuff. Then you also got President Trump will posthumously award Charlie Kirk with the Presidential Medal of Freedom, praising him as a giant of his generation, inspiration to millions. So, yeah. It's too bad it had to happen after the fact, though, obviously. Then, of course, you got this stupid horseshit from AOC 23 hours ago on Twitter/X. The scourge of gun violence and political violence must end. The shooting of Charlie Kirk is the latest incident in its chaos, and it must stop. We cannot go down this road. There is no place in America, no place for it in America, and we wish for his recovery. Go fuck yourself, you fucking cunt. Charlie Kirk's blood is on your hands, bitch. Like, this is what I'm saying. Like, Cortez needs to be arrested out of office for fucking deprivation of laws, what it is, dude. Like, honestly, I would not be surprised in the least with the rhetoric from AOC and Crockett, Warren, etc. there, if you actually had people go after their asses at this point. I'm not saying that they should. In fact, I'm saying the opposite of that. Do not do that. But I would not be surprised if there was, like, something like that's what it is. So, and then you got, like, this fucking scumbag right here, Seth Milton, however you pronounce the guy's name. Him bitching and moaning about how Trump needs to basically unpardon the January 6th defendants is what it is there, and how a bunch of Republicans are domestic terrorists and all this other horse shit. There's what it is. It's fucking disgusting. What it is. Let's see here. So you got Rep. Anna Paula Luna is now requesting Elon Musk censor and take down videos of Charlie Kirk's assassination. As American AF said, think the video should stay up because it's waking people up. However, now she now wants them removed. Well, I mean, to be fair, Anna Paula Luna, that's the problem with people like that. They're like semi-good-looking chicks. So it is there. Is you'll got all these dudes that'll basically kind of white knight form what it is there and be like, oh yeah, I kind of want to hit that or whatever. But the problem with her is that she is just as much of a gun grabber as a leftist is what it is, dude. She will sit there, and it was during about maybe 4 or 5 months ago now, whenever they were doing the hearings for to do the NFA away is what it is there, and basically get rid of that unconstitutional shit for the last 100 years almost now is what it is. You had this bitch doing fucking poses with a who was an AA-12, the full auto shotguns what it is there, while she was openly calling to restrict machine gun availability to Americans what it is then. So yeah, she's a typical piece of shit what it is, dude, like most of them are. And this is exactly why I kind of hate when anybody runs for office in the whole military vet platform is what it is there, where they're like, well, I'm a military vet, so that's just my entitled me to being able to hold office in this country. It's like, if anything, that should be the opposite of that woman or man or whoever it is running for that shit, because it's like, yeah, just because you served in the military doesn't mean shit, bro. Especially people like Dan Crenshaw. They're like the biggest fucking scumbags of all, is what it is out there. So, and then you got all these fucking liars out there too, for that matter. They're making up like shit about like, I did this, and this, or whatever. And then it turns out they did nothing of that shit, is what it is then. To inflate their own egos, what it is basically in a lot of cases, or inflate their own, you know, military career, or whatever it is there. Or in some cases, you got these sick ass dudes that were mercenaries and shit like that that'll sit there and be like, you know, I went overseas and killed like 150 people, or whatever the case be. And it's like, so you murdered 150 people overseas? Like, okay, good to know, you fucking serial killer. Like, Jesus Christ, bro, seriously. But yeah, it's just fucking nuts, is what it is, man. And these people were just a bunch of nutters, is what it is in most cases. So, I'm not saying that you shouldn't have people that were like ex-military in positions of power in this country, but what I'm specifically stating is, if you're running on a platform like that, where it's like that's your entire platform is like, back me because I'm military, or back me because I'm ex-military, whatever it is, like, that's the stupidest platform ever, is what it is, basically. Next to communism or socialism or any of that crap like that is what it is there. But unfortunately, you have people that'll do the whole, oh, well, it's all patriotism. It's like, except it's kind of not, dude. So, because it seems to me like, especially with the people that are running on these military vet platform things, what it is there, they will tend to be the biggest oath breakers of all, is what it is at the end of the day, and they'll be the biggest gun grabbers in a lot of the cases for being rhinos and shit like that, is what it is. So, but yeah, what needs to be said and done is, you know, 24 years later, Bush and Cheney are still not handcuffed for their part in 9/11. You have a lot of other people that are from the Saudi government that never were arrested for their part in the whole event, and the murder of almost 3,000 Americans at the time. So, I don't think we're ever going to see true justice in this country. And like I said, going full circle back to Charlie Kirk then, I don't think we're ever going to see the real assassin in that situation. Like, we might find the patsy is what it is, but we're never going to get the real people that were behind the puppet strings being pulled and stuff like that. So, I don't know. I think it's just a bad deal all the way around, man. And it's just sad that we have, you know, these idiot, moronic Democrats that are going out there and pulling some bullshit like this fucking asshole Mark Kelly yesterday had the audacity to go on CNN and be like, the political rhetoric from both sides is to blame for Charlie Kirk's death. No, bitch, the political rhetoric from your fucking side of American history is to blame for Charlie Kirk's death, you fucking old scumbags. Like, honestly, in a just society, Mark Kelly would be declared a domestic terrorist right now, is what it is. So, let's see. Then we had video resurfacing from Memorial Day last week of piece of shit Chuck Schumer literally doing a fuck Trump chant. What a bunch of assholes, dude. Apparently within the last hour, you had a supposed bomb threat called in to the Democrat National Committee headquarters in Washington, D.C. That was according to Fox News, who said there are dozens of police officers and MPD on site. No big sense of urgency at this time. I guarantee that was a Democrat calling on themselves at that point, dude. That's definitely one of those hate crime hoax things, is what it is. Except in that case, it would be a bomb threat hoax, is what it is. So, wow. And going back to the idiotic talking heads of the mainstream media, we had, who's this fucking jerk off? NBC News moron Nate Burleson says Republicans need to tone down their rhetoric after Charlie Kirk assassinated a free speech event. I feel like, honestly, like, there are some people who just need to get smacked across the face in this country, is what it is. Like, just one good, like, right across the fucking mouth is what it is, and just be like, shut the fuck up, cunt. We have a much better society overall, is what it is. But unfortunately, can't do that because we go to jail for assault and battery and stuff. But yeah, it's a sad situation all the way around, man. Very sad situation all the way around. Wow. Apparently you had Don Lemon out on the streets interviewing random people and essentially was claiming Charlie Kirk loved guns and had it coming. Fucking disgusting. Oh, speaking of pieces of shit, by the way, you got good old communist breadline himself, Bernie Sanders, 23 hours ago saying, political violence has no place in this country. We must condemn this horrific act. My thoughts are with Charlie Kirk and his family. Dude, it was one of your supporters that literally tried to murder a third of Congress. Go fuck yourself, Sanders. You are the fucking problem in this country, dickhead. Anyway. And of course, you got MSNBC trying to put the cat back in the bag and basically apologize. Same thing with TMZ. Because they're going to get sued. And that's the whole point. And then speaking of people who just need to get a good old-fashioned smack in the mouth, you had this little cocksucker right here who was literally chanting about, we got Charlie in the neck. Outside of, I'm not sure where this was in, if it was DC or if it was someplace else, but it had gates. It might have been the university itself, there's what it is. But yeah, it was him and then some chick, and then probably make 3 or 4 other people that were chanting the shit then. Just fucking disgusting evil people is what it is, dude, for real. Who's this fucking moron? Sorry, I just had some fucking idiot pop up in my feed here named Zach Lambert. I'm not sure who the fuck this idiot is. Basically about guns. Don't care about ideology, politics, religion, race. Don't care. They are tools built to kill. When they're easy to get, they are used to do exactly that over and over again. Something must change. Yeah, morons like you must be strict against citizenship. Kick the fuck out of this country, you anti-gun fuckboy. But anyway. Yeah, it's just a sad situation all the way around, like I said. And it's just like, And of course, Ben Shapiro makes a shit all about himself, announced he is heading to college campuses across America. His message: they may have taken Charlie Kirk's life, but they will never silence his voice. And never say never, dude. Like, that honestly sounds like a challenge to me, is what it is. To like these leftists that potentially were behind this shit, is what it is. So, and I mean, they're crazy asses. They would do exactly that, is what it is. Let's see. We got Scott Adams calling out the left of this country, saying the Democrat Party must be ripped down by the roots. Scott Adams said, quote, I am no longer content with Democrat Party existing in its current form, with its current supporters. Yep, exactly. Like I said, this is going to go... Yeah, somebody brought up a great point going back to fuckface Chuck Schumer, too, on this whole thing, which is the leader of the left responding to Charlie Kirk's assassination only after threatening 2 U.S. Supreme Court judges with the consequence of a violent attack from the angry left. Yeah, Schumer saying then, you will pay the price, you won't know what hit you. And then for Kirk's assassination, saying political violence isn't a place in America, shooting is horrifying, and I'm praying for Charlie Kirk and his family. You know, one thing I've noticed with that now that I've said it about 4 or 5 times with these people, they are all saying the exact same pretty much first line there is what it is for their quote. And then it's like whatever their team of people want to throw in their second thing is what it is there. So it's definitely just some bullshit like copy and paste thing is what it is there. So, yeah, they're all a bunch of goddamn liars is what it is, dude. All a bunch of fucking scumbags, all a bunch of pieces of shit. So... yeah, and then we got this one 2 hours ago, which was Schumer and Crossroads Demon Hakeem Jeffries responded Trump blaming the radical left for Charlie's assassination, with them claiming, coming together is what we ought to be doing, not pointing fingers of blame, except you fucking deep state fuckboys are exactly to blame, you fucking cocksuckers. Because you're 100% the ones that killed this man. Guarantee it. And if you're not, you know who fucking did what it is then. So, that's pretty fucking weird. So here we got Alex Jones saying, breaking intel, New York Times and LA Times reported Charlie Kirk being shot on September 9th, the day before his assassination. Plus, new Amazon books had, quote, the shooting of Charlie Kirk posted one day before his murder. Eyewitness accounts in Utah also revealed people in the crowd claimed that they knew he was about to be killed. Was this a pre-planned, coordinated event designed to trigger a new American Civil War? I think so. Like I said earlier, dude, I think it's exactly what it was, honestly. It would not be surprising, at least at this point. I would not be surprised if it was actually done to create a color revolution, is what it is there. Like, it feels like it's not right, basically. It makes no sense at all what it is. So, you know, it's ironic though, going back full circle to the leftist ideology in this country. You guys may remember last year there was a guy named Chance Oliver who was the nominee for the Libertarian Party for president. I'm pretty sure this guy's a pedophile, by the way. Like, he's done like a whole bunch of crazy, disgusting shit with like drag stuff for kids and stuff like that's what it is there. And he also was pushing BLM terrorism during the rioting and stuff like that, 2020 and stuff like that. Had the audacity talking about this Dean Withers kid. This is one of the ones Charlie debated, if I'm not mistaken. He said this is Dean Withers, probably 100% opposed to Charlie Kirk's politics, but is rightfully upset and showing empathy with Charlie's wife and kids. Those who want to paint this horror onto everyone on the quote the left need to think about this for a moment and realize that most people don't celebrate murders. Isn't left versus right, isn't right versus wrong. Human decency, most of us have, and the actions of the violent psychopath. Yeah, says the guy who literally supported BLM terrorism. Supported. Oh, going back to the left again, showing their continued use of the same thing. Good old Mom Donnie, horrified by the shooting of Charlie Kirk at the college in Utah. Political violence has no place in our country, yet this is the same asshole that is now trying to use that to push gun control. Got some moron black guy saying Charlie wasn't a hero and shouldn't be celebrated. Yeah, that's a lot of idiot leftists saying shit, dude. Yeah, and speaking of psychotic leftists out there as well, you have this stupid fucking cunt right here saying, "Do you want to have a conversation about gun control now?" And as this Mememan on Libs said, "Why do they think gun control is the issue here?" Exactly. It's because they're psychotically insane is what it is, dude, in most cases. That's what it really is. So, anyway. Sorry, I'm tweeting out some stuff right now. Leftists. But anyway, yeah, I don't know, man. It's unfortunately, I don't think anything's ever going to change in this country, and we really need to. Like, even just looking at the feed popping up right now here on X, you got this dumb cunt right here. Pro-black womanist, writer, and scholar. That says it all, man, right there. Says it all right there. Claiming George Floyd was a father too, and Charlie Kirk called him a scumbag. Yeah, because George Floyd literally held a gun in a pregnant woman's stomach, you stupid bitch, while he was robbing her. In fact, I'm going to go ahead and tweet that back at her ass. Floyd, literally a gun to a pregnant woman's stomach during a robbery. He was a fucking scumbag, just like the rest of you supremacists. Oh. Let's see, we got this moron here falsely claiming there was 47 school shootings. I love how it says this year's, because he's so fucking illiterate he can't even get the year right. Is what it is. God, these people are stupid. Lying sack of shit, Micah. There were not 47 school shootings. Bloomberg, make up fake stats to cover for the gangbangers who fire guns blocks from a school at 3 a.m. Which is the case in most cases, by the way, for this now. If you ever look at the BS stats that these leftists like Monster Man Action use, and every time he uses stuff like that, it's all made up fake stats is what it is. Because you'll have, when you actually break it down, you'll have maybe like 1 or 2 school shootings in that thing throughout the year, whatever it is there. And then you'll have like 40 something of them that they claim happened. But it's literally like a bunch of black gangbangers, like a block or 2 from that school, firing off at each other in like some gang war in the streets. That they'll consider to be a school shooting, even though it happened literally blocks from the school, was between gangs, and was in the middle of the fucking night. So, yeah, people were just moronic idiots is what it is. But yeah, it's just so ridiculous what it is, dude. And then you got scumbag Seth Milton, however that's the guy's name, falsely claiming, actually calling to up the political violence. We're hearing that a lot from the right now. Yeah, says the guy on the left who's literally been calling for it for fucking years. This is what we need auto dekeys from office right now, dude. Just kick this motherfucker out of office. Tell him to kick fucking rocks or whatever. I love how some of these people, when they do their bios, they're on X, like they basically call themselves out for the stupid ass morons they are, is what it is. This guy just going by Maine said, who, by the way, is a geopol, Intel and NatSec, radical centrist, Dem strategist. Yeah, there you go, right there, dude. Claiming, we have no suspect, we have no motive, we have no weapon. But the President of the United States took to the airwaves to call for purge of the opposition party, unfortunately missing the opportunity to lower the temperature. Fuck all you all, dude, seriously. Yeah. So it's hard not to just call these fucking clowns out, is what it is. And then going back full circle to pieces of shit like Gavin Newsom. Got a piece of shit Newsom 22 hours ago. We should all feel a deep sense of grief and outrage at the terrible violence that took place in Utah today. Charlie Kirk's murder is sick and reprehensible. Thoughts with the family, children, and loved ones. Newsom said, I knew Charlie admired his passion and commitment to debate. That's why Charlie's memories to his work, engage with each other. Violence only drives us further apart and creates the values at the heart of our nation. Newsom is such a fucking scumbag, dude. Everybody a favor. Gavin. Repeal a single anti-gun law immediately. I doubt he'll ever see that, but it makes me feel better anyway. So, yeah. Then you got idiotic Bernie Sanders witnessing full-blown war on science yesterday for something stupid. But yeah, let's see what else we got going on here on X really today. See, we got Senator Bernie Moreno saying today we pause to honor and remember the 2,977 American lives lost in 9/11 terrorist attacks 24 years ago. In the face of evil, our nation remained reliant and united. Our nation remains grateful to our brave first responders for their heroism. Yep. So then you got this piece of shit black supremacist. I guess it wasn't a black supremacist. Sorry, I just assumed it was. What is? I think my mind, because it says liberal influencer, obviously. Let's see. Liberal influencer doesn't agree with Charlie Kirk is done being a liberal. Quote, I just can't be a liberal no more. Why I did not agree with his views. When you put violence in the middle of the equation, all this goes out the window. Everything that you stand for goes out the window. These people are insane. Do not speak politics all in public. Do not do that. These people are unwell. You people make me fucking sick, is what this guy said. Interesting. So, I don't know, man. I guess it's a good thing if that be the case. It would be kind of ironic if this dude actually became like the new Charlie Kirk in a couple of years. So, but yeah, it's just crazy. And then even going back to, even further back to the murder of Austin Metcalf earlier this year. 4 months after Carmelo Anthony killed Austin Metcalf, a track media authorities still refused to release the video. And remember, over $500,000 reportedly raised by Anthony's family via Go Give Son Go, which they, by the way, literally blew through to where they're now having that piece of shit Carmelo Anthony be given a public defender in court. So, we got Elizabeth Warren's dumbass. Somebody called her Pharmahontas. Reacts to Charlie Kirk's assassination. If we can't just take your guns, we will we can just take your guns. You will all be safe. What a fucking piece of garbage, dude. Never forget that Elizabeth Warren should have been out of office in 2020 when she ran for president. The same thing with Cory Booker, Bernie Sanders, Kamala Harris, Eric Sowell. I'm trying to think who else was in there. I want to say there was like one more U.S. senator that was there, and I think at least one more congressman that should have had to resign to run, but none of them did, obviously, because you don't have that being on the books as it is there. So, but yeah, going back to the retarded statement of Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez in the last day here. AOC on Charlie Kirk, are we going to do something, or are we going to argue over rhetoric? We have to pass gun safety legislation to stop this. People can point the finger all they want. Yeah, we'll point it right at you, bitch, because you're the fucking problem. So, we got Project Liberal saying, left didn't assassinate Charlie Kirk, the right did not assassinate Melissa Hartman or her husband. Individual did. Anyone claiming collective guilt is trying to manipulate you. Yeah, except for the fact that you pieces of shit are the ones that continuously call for violence. Literally. So, yeah, so apparently it was Anna Paula Luna 18 hours ago that was the one calling for, what'd you say here? Yeah, calling for Elon Musk, etc., to remove the horrific videos of Charlie Kirk's murder. He has a family and children. No one should be forced to relive the tragedy online. And then this Lily Tang Williams, this is the one that was running for office last year. She actually, those don't know who Lily Tang Williams is. She was the one that rose to fame by calling out that moron David Hogg. And then she was trying to run for Congress, but unfortunately she didn't have the money to actually go up against this multimillionaire that had big pharma backing, is what it is. Ended up losing that race. But she's also, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, she was a Chinese immigrant refugee who escaped, I believe her and her family escaped Mao's genocide back in the day, in the 70s. But yeah, Lily was saying, I respectfully disagree, saying to Anna Paula Luna, so freedom of speech includes content we don't like or hate. It hurts to watch the video, but we must defend free speech as the foundation of our republic, no matter how horrifying it is. Where would you draw the line? Who decides what people can see? Censorship is one of the primary tools of authoritarians for a reason. Always crutched in terms of safety and sentiment. Censorship is not the answer. Yeah, here we go. She said, I saw evil growing up in Mao's China. We need to show evil exists in America so we know what we are fighting against. And then she said, at Charlie Kirk would want us to speak the truth, protect speech, and practice civil discourse, which he did, exactly. Very well said, ma'am. So, then we got woman pretending to be man. It's already made not one, not two, but 5 separate videos celebrating Charlie Kirk's assassination. Nobody can deny that this person is mentally ill. That's what I'm saying, dude. Like, these are the nut jobs that need to be locked the fuck up in a mental institution where they belong, dude, for real. So, and you got nut jobs like this bitch literally laughing about Charlie's assassination. Again, lock their fucking asses up, bro. So, let's see. Yeah, it's funny that you got Tim Walz saying enough when he's the one literally that caused the gun control to happen in Minnesota, that caused the Christian kids to be killed at Antioch schools, what it was, dude. The church, etc. So we got an hour ago. Ilhan Omar is happy Charlie Kirk is killed. Quote, he downplayed George Floyd. He opposed Juneteenth. How is this bitch still on U.S. soil right now, dude, for real? Like, why the fuck is she still not only in Congress, but on U.S. soil right now? Deport her fucking ass back to Somalia, dude. Enough is enough of this shit. Somalia, where she belongs. Islamic terrorism has no place U.S. soil ever. But anyway. But yeah, I'm getting personally just pretty sick and tired of all of it. Oh, it's my aunt. Yeah, I gotta take this. Yeah, apparently she couldn't hear me on her end, I guess, or whatever. So probably a bad connection on her phone or something is my guess, because her phone's been messed up for a while now. So I'll give her a call back in a couple minutes. That was what it is. But yeah, it's pretty much for the day for this one anyway. So we've pretty much beaten this into the ground for what I was going to talk about today. I know Honda is supposed to be doing a chat sometime later tonight. I don't know if he's going to have a panel or not. If he's at the panel, I'll be on the panel. But other than that, that's where I'm at for the day. Let's show somebody coming back again. You guys coming back again. So that's it for this one. See you guys on the next one. Peace out later. Hello?